What's up, y'all? This Hollow Rollo. I want to give y'all some information to operate with. No matter how much you try to do good for the people, you will never be able to please everybody. But don't let that discourage you from being great.
What's good, y'all? What's the Numbers TV? It's your boy Parole. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and like a video if you appreciate the content that Parole and What's the Numbers I provided. Today we back into the profile piece. This one is on Hollow Man. In this video we're going to talk about his early years coming up in Philly. Then we will look at his time as a rapper during the YouTube and DVD era, where Hollow Man was able to build a nice little buzz for himself in the city's underground rap scene. After that, we'll get into the details surrounding the case
that had Hollow Man serving life without parole, and how he was able to come from up out of that sentence.
Hollow Man, real name Ronald Thomas, is from North Philly. Growing up in that section of the city would be crazy for a young Hollow Man, as the area is plagued with drugs and gun violence. As a kid, he would take an interest in boxing and began going to local gyms to work on learning how to box. Eventually, he took the sport somewhat serious and would go on to have a nice amount of amateur fights in different tournaments and showcases around the city. Another talent that Hollow Man tapped into was his skill of rapping. At first, he really wasn't trying to be an MC, but after hanging around Cicero, who was a well-known rapper in the city, Hollow Man started to write down his own rhymes in hopes of making it on one of the many hip-hop DVDs that had taken over the streets of Philadelphia at the time. So now, after talking about boxing and rapping and their position in Hollow Man's life, it's time to speak about the place that held most of Hollow Man's interests, and that was the streets. The streets of Philadelphia were Hollow Man's main focus for a majority of his young life, and he paid the price of that choice numerous times throughout his life. First, in 2004, at the age of 19, Hollow Man would get locked up after going out of town to hustle. He would receive 3 to 6 years in that case and be released in 2007 back to the streets of Philly. From there, it was more the same, with the streets and rapping at the forefront of his life. He'll record some classic freestyles on DVDs like Too Raw for the Streets and others with his Team A affiliates who had started to create a little buzz for themselves in the city. But for all the work Hollow Man was putting in on the rap side of things, he was putting in twice that amount of work in the streets. By 2009, he was now in his 20s and a hustler at heart, just trying to make some money to enjoy his life. The block was treating him good, as he had finally got up to his own brick of cocaine that he secured in one of his trap houses in the neighborhood. He finally reached a milestone in his street hustling career with the purchase of his own kilogram. 30 to 40,000 spent with thoughts of doubling up were now on Hollow Man's mind. But sadly, he left the back door open and got double-crossed by people close to him. The story that would come out was that Hollow Man and Anwar Ashmore were both members of Team A in North Philly. Team A was looked at as a group of rappers and drug dealers that frequented the Strawberry Mansion section of the city, as well as other areas. Hollow Man was one of the bigger names of the crew, being that he was one of the more well-known rappers out the bunch. So back to the story. It's Hollow Man's brick of cocaine that's stashed when allegedly Anwar gains access to the stash house and steals the drugs. At first, Hollow Man didn't know who the culprit or culprits were, because in a song called Earbleed, Hollow Man raps about the stolen drugs and thinking it was someone around him who committed the treasonous act, although he wasn't sure who it could have been exactly. But something had to change from the winter of 2009 to the spring of 2010, because on April 22, 2010, Anwar Ashmore was gunned down near the corner of Stanley and Huntington Streets, allegedly in front of a handful of Team A members. Hollow Man was arrested days after the shooting and charged with murder and illegal gun possession. The case will take a few years to go to trial, but in 2013, Hollow Man would get found guilty on all charges and sentenced to life without parole. But that wouldn't be the end of the story for Hollow Man, because in 2017 he was granted an appeal after arguing that his rap lyrics were unfairly used against him in court. He would do a Philly Fame TV interview explaining what was going on with his case, as he had hopes of coming from up out of that life sentence he was serving. It was looking like Hollow Man might get a second chance at freedom, but unfortunately for him, in September 2018, he would get found guilty again on all charges and was sentenced once again to life without parole in the Philadelphia prison system. This time it was looking over for Hollow Man, as the prosecutors didn't use his lyrics in the new trial and were still able to convict him. But then in 2020, one of the cops on Hollow Man's case will make the news for years of dirty police work, and with that, Hollow Man's lawyers were able to win another appeal and get the life sentence vacated with further court proceedings to take place.
So now back in court, Hollow Man was offered time served on a lesser charge or a trial date a year down the line. Rather than sitting in the county jail for another year waiting trial, he decided to cop out and come home on time served.
But yo, it's What's the Numbers TV. That was a quick profile piece on Hollow Man, real name Ronald Thomas. Now, if you know anything about Philly, you know there's two Hollow Mans. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the Erie Ave Hollow Man. This is the Team A Hollow Man that got locked up for the body, been serving all that time since. Now, you know, he was actually, they both was nice, but Hollow Man, Erie Ave, super nice. Team A was actually nice. He had a little buzz, you know, was doing battles, freestyles, all that. Like, he had a buzz. People knew. It wasn't looked at as, like, the fake Hollow Man or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They both was nice at that time, and they both was creating a little buzz for themselves. But, you know, one ended up staying down the streets. The other ended up going to jail now. Now, the murder, as far as, like, the shooting over the drugs or whatever, now, Anwar's pops, who knew all of them, he admitted that his son did actually steal the drugs from Hollow Man. Him, I think a couple other people, they actually did take the drugs from him, Hollow Man. Now, was that a reason for him to jump out the window and kill him in front of everybody? I don't know. That was his decision, or allegedly his decision. He got convicted for that. But I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But according to the pops, he did steal the drugs from Hollow Man. Now, they saying that Hollow Man shot him in front of a bunch of Team A members. Like, it was basically some in-house shit that went down. So that's why it was easy for people to know who it was. And supposedly people went back and told the pops who it was that killed his son. And from there, everything went down. They were saying that Hollow Man went and bought, like, rest in peace shirts the next day after the murder. You know, even though people knew it was him that did it. So there's a lot going on, you know what I'm saying? You guys could put his name in on Google and type, just put Ronald Thomas Philly, and you'll see a bunch of different articles on it.
But now he's back home, free to be with his family, be with his children. He is rapping again, so that's something if you guys are interested, you go check out. He's active on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Just happy to be home living his life, man. So welcome home to him. It was a dirty cop, did some dirty things allegedly, and you know, he's back out here in society after that life without parole.
So, like I said, man, this is What's the Numbers TV. This is a quick profile piece on Ronald Thomas, aka Hollow Man, North Philly. You understand? And subscribe to the channel. You know the live streams is going up. Make sure y'all chapping with that. Become a member of the channel. Follow the Instagram. What's the Numbers TV at on Instagram. Baddie Bills on Instagram. And you know we be back before you know it, man. We out of here. Peace.